I think if you just buy in and then they slap you across the face, that would send the same message.
You want to go home now, or do you want me to do it again?
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy.
Hello, beautiful people.
And me.
And Justin, too. This is Art Parman. This is the Table One podcast, your favorite poker, gambling, Vegas podcast.
Obviously.
First off, I just want to say that Chino episode, you guys left a lot of beautiful comments, beautiful people, and it made us have all the feelings.
Yep.
You made my pants vibrate a lot.
Well, I was just going to say dopamine's in my head, but no, that's fine. My pants did nothing.
Yeah, you don't get the notifications. I get them, but I send them all the good ones to Justin.
That is
so
true.
Keep sending the comments, and we read them all. If I don't have time to answer you, it's because I'm lazy. But I still love you.
Yeah. But it's an exciting time here in Vegas. Like by the time you guys watch it, I think it will probably be over. But F1 is coming to town. I think the race is actually on Saturday, but there's already hoopla. I actually, before I went to bed last night, I put on Netflix and I think it was Netflix. The top thing recommended for me was this golf outing between Formula One drivers. They got paired up with professional golfers, and they golfed at the Wynn Golf Course.
Interesting. I saw the one where the Formula One car drove through the Wynn. Did you see that one?
I did not, but I'm sure it was attached to all the same thing. But yeah,
it went out into the parking lot, and then as it went out to valet out of the main doors, there's one of those Red Bull trucks drifting right behind it as it comes out. I was like, holy shit, this must have been expensive.
Yeah, they're definitely not sparing any expense. I think the very first hole, the first hole for everyone was a speed scramble. I know not everyone's versed in golf, but basically that means everyone kind of teed off together, and they hopped in the cart, and it was a race down to the hole, and they ran to their balls and basically just finished the hole as fast as they could. And it doesn't matter how many shots it took to get in the hole; it matters who got the ball in first. So it was. I mean, I get the theme of the F1 drivers coming in, but the thing is
coming in hot.
Most of the time, the PGA guys were the ones driving the cart. I kind of wish they had little dune buggies or little go-karts or something like that, where they're just because they have to cross a bridge too, that's only wide enough for one car. So,
that would be perfect.
Big liabilities for the win, I suppose. But I think it'd be pretty funny, or just make it wide enough for a car and a half, so where they might
Yeah, I do know they got to wear helmets to play this round of golf.
But either way, it was a cool reminder, I suppose, that the F1's coming to town, basically now, but the actual thing's coming up this weekend.
Yeah, the town has been a mess for 6 months. The roads are a mess. It takes a half hour to get a mile on the Las Vegas Strip, but it's finally here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I know some people are sad because they tried to invest in some tickets and they have plunged down in price, but you gamble when you're buying tickets to flip. So,
but yeah, I think Vegas has a 10-year contract with them. I believe that's correct anyway. So this is going to happen another 9 years. But I think they got unlucky because the top 3 or top 5 of the F1 has already been settled, and I say that as a complete novice when it comes to racing at all.
Yeah, I also heard that, but I don't know anything. Just the only thing scrambled I know about is my eggs. I know just about as much about F1 as I do as golf. So anyways, it's supposed to bring a lot of money here over the next 10 years, which if any of you Formula One peoples are watching, you can find us on Table 2 this week, because there's some really big games coming into town that are going to be on Table 1. Doesn't mean we're not still Table 1 in our hearts and our minds.
That's right.
In fact, I might bring a little number 1 plaque, and I'll just put it over the 2.
No matter where we are, that's where Table 1 is.
That's right. It's more of a ambiance and a mindset and a feeling than it is a location. It's like heaven.
Solid.
So so what else about Formula One? What do you know about it?
Very little. I know So we're both kind of raised in the South. So all I knew growing up was NASCAR,
NASCAR.
which they look more like normal cars and they just go really fast. Where these more look like the race cars used to play with as kids or whatever. Like little what are they called?
Airplanes, jets, Hot Wheels. You're
Hot
talking about
Wheels, Hot
But I'm
Wheels.
saying they look like fucking jets.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, they're closer to the ground, the bigger wheels. I don't know. It's really cool. Like back in the day, I used to be a mechanical engineer and like actually took a class in a lot of like car stuff and internal combustion engines, and it's pretty cool to like realize like how much engineering and science goes into this kind of stuff. But that's kind of where my knowledge ends right there. I don't know how hard it is to drive. I don't know what the tracks are supposed to look like. I know there's more turns instead of like NASCAR. It's just like one big loop. They like weave in and out. They like speed up to like 250 and then I have to slow down to like 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
Probably
I feel like right now we sound like two students trying to explain physics to their professor. Like we don't
I'm
know
sure.
what we're talking about. There's a lot of turns. The cars, they go fast.
But what I do know is they have to have the road very, very level because everyone's so close to the ground. And because of that, Vegas has done a ton of construction for the last, well, it's been at least 6 months, probably closer to a year now, where they are getting the track exactly to specs, which is what they should do or whatever, but it has made it quite a pain to get around.
It has. Luckily for us, when we play mostly exclusively basically at the Aria, there's a back entrance, and I found out that the back entrance should be fine during the race. So hopefully I'm unaffected, and I never know that there is a race that happened except for all the money that comes in to play poker. Speaking of which, you're here for a poker podcast, right? You don't want to learn about
Gambling.
F1?
But yeah. But either way, so yeah, to his point, this is a very, I would say, ritzy sport to follow. Not to follow necessarily, but to be a part of. It takes quite a bit of money to like fund these kinds of engineering feats and to put together these kind of courses.
And if the ticket prices are any indication, like the people who come to watch, they don't really think about the price of the tickets.
Yeah, there's been plenty of rumors about how much you have to have a certain amount of credit line to even get a suite at anywhere or even a room at anywhere, at some places, I think.
Yeah, I've heard some similar things.
Yeah, they might be rumors, but I don't know. It's got to be fairly true, though. Like these are very hoity-toity, like fancy hats, fancy dresses.
Yeah,
sip
$20
champagne.
bottles of water at the
Exactly.
at the track.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, one of the restaurants inside, well, probably all of them, have raised their prices 50%, just not for no reason. You know the reason.
The reason is because no one looks at the check. These are the kind of people they're attracting, are the people that don't look at checks. They sign, and it doesn't affect them emotionally at all.
It's true. Like I used to think I was upper class, higher end because when I put gas in my gas tank, I don't look at the price. I just put it in, and I'm like, I don't even shop around for gas. I'm a ritzy motherfucker. But these guys are on another level. Yeah. They're not looking at the bill at the nightclub when it's $50,000 at the end of the day. So
that's right.
Yeah, if you want to play with us, it's on table 1, Vegas.
So basically, all that to be said, there's going to be a ton of higher-end people, I would say, coming into town this week, which is very exciting for gamblers, poker players, casino hosts, service workers in Vegas, just across the board, which is a pretty exciting time. It's kind of the payback for all the I wouldn't say the heartache that we face, but the traffic and the delays.
Yeah, I mean, no one really knows what to expect, honestly. Their buzz has been enormous. It's going to be hard to top what people thought it was going to be. I think right now expectations are kind of lowering based on the ticket prices lowering. But at the same time, I'm still excited about this weekend. I know you're conveniently going to be out of town.
I will be, so I will not. Well, I don't know how convenient, but either way, yeah. I'm very happily going to go see my mother for early Thanksgiving, but I'm perfectly happy with that and leave the shenanigans to them. But I am sad about some of the amazing poker games that we expect to have over the next week and probably a little bit beyond.
Yeah, Justin will be gone, so there's one extra seat for anyone out there looking to play. And anyway, speaking of money in town and and the highs and lows. We were gonna take this episode and do a couple stories about like biggest pots we've ever played, highs and lows of our poker bankroll and career, and stuff that's not quite on the excitement level as the Chino episode. And if you haven't seen that episode, check that one out. You'll like it more than this one. I promise you that. It's a great It's a great episode.
Amazing.
I see the numbers, buddy. I see the traction.
I'll vibrate at your pocket.
Yeah, vibrate my pocket, guys, but not for this episode. No, for this episode. Yeah, this one. So we were gonna talk some poker hands that were big, or some gambling spots that worked out or didn't for us. And then.
So do you want to do lows or highs first? Like, should we start high and end low, or start low and end high?
Should we do a little? We should probably end high, I think.
I think that's right.
Yeah, you guys want to hear about our pain first? You want the pain? Give him some pain, Justin. I know you got some pain in you.
I always have pain in me. So typically in Vegas, anyone that bets sports, even a little bit, I would say if you ask 95 to 98% of them, did you win or lose your biggest sports bet ever?
Yeah.
They would say they lost it. And the reason being, obviously, if you win your biggest one, then you're probably going to bet a little bit bigger the next time until you lose. You like kind of reverse martingale yourself a little bit.
Yeah, the only way that's not true is if you hit some massive parlay ticket.
Exactly.
But if you're a straight bettor and you like to feel things during the game, you might be a degenerate like us, and you might want to raise the stakes for the next one.
And there's definitely no reason for you not to think that you're not going to win your next biggest one because you just won your biggest one. So no one just quits after their biggest one. It's all I'm really saying. Like, no one just says like, $1,000 is a massive bet for me, and you win it, and you're like, done with that, done with sports betting forever. That is it.
I'm 1-0, retired.
Or I'll go back to betting $50 a game and be completely happy.
Yeah, doesn't happen.
So this is, and I can't remember the year. I want to say it is maybe 2016 Super Bowl. It was Patriots and the Falcons.
Yes.
17. It doesn't matter. But either way,
everyone's got a story about this game.
It is.
It happens to be Justin's largest sports bet, apparently.
So like, I'm a medium to like medium high sports bettor. We won't put a number on it yet or anything like that. But one of my accounts is through this guy in Boston, who's basically his entire clientele is Bostonites. So I had a reasonable sized bet for me on the Falcons because I really liked them getting 4.5. Getting 3.5. Excuse me. And I thought it was a great line, and I bet it. And then he texted me like maybe a week before the Super Bowl. He said, "Look, everyone's betting the Patriots. I need to lay some money off. Let me give you an extra full point, so you have 4.5 instead of 3.5. And please bet as much as you want to. I'm not going to charge you any extra juice." Which, don't want to get too technical with like sports betting, but that's worth a lot of money. Like that is basically like I thought I was like break even to maybe a small winner at 3.5 or 3, or I think it was at 3 where I got it. Actually, I think it was 3.
Okay.
So the number from 3 to 4.5 is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it takes out all of the juice. If you're laying minus 110, now you're basically getting odds on your bet.
Right. Like if I were a big sports book, if I was MGM and I booked that at 4.5, I would probably have to give them, I don't even know, plus 150, plus 160. I mean, it was.
Yeah, you're printing basically.
Yeah,
you're making a sizable percentage in expectation. Like honestly, if he was really smart, he would have just bet as much as he could at the 4.5, and then bet the other side at -3 on the Patriots, and just had a nice little free roll.
Yeah. So either way, this opportunity came off, and you get to watch sports and you get to win money at the same time. So it's more about how risk adverse you are. And anyone that knows anything about me, I am not risk adverse for the most part. So I decided to put my largest sports bet ever by, I would say 4x, maybe 3x. Yeah, 3x probably is about right, which made me very, very nervous. And anyone that watched the game or remembers the game remembers that the Falcons absolutely destroyed them for the first 3 quarters. I went over to my buddy Eric Baldwin's house. Him and his wife hosted my wife and I, and I was so happily drunk for 3 hours, just high-fiving, running around hugging people, picking up their cats and just petting them as well. Either way, it was just a glorious time as a sports bettor, knowing that you've made the right decision by risking a lot of money in a spot where you knew you were like positive EV. And then the second half of the fourth quarter happened where things got very, very sad. Again, if you don't know the game, please go back and look. But it got to the point where it was 28-3, and getting 4.5 points, it was almost impossible for me to lose. And I say this very, very knowledgeably as a sports bettor. Like, there was a lot of instances where they come back and win by 1, 2, even 3 points. But it was really hard for them to win by more than 5 points, like 4 points.
Yeah.
So
with that score differential, right?
Yeah, between 25 points.
Even if it goes touchdown, touchdown, touchdown,
right.
They win by 1, right?
Right. If they decide to go for 2s and stuff like that, they're going to win by 1 a lot. If they end up tying the game, a lot of times it's going to end in a field goal because usually that's what happens in overtime.
Yeah. A lot of broken TVs from that game. I have a feeling.
So either way, like it was a wonderful game, and it went from happy to one of the saddest points of my sports betting career. Anyway, it was the saddest actually.
Yeah.
And everyone knows, like, the Patriots came back to tie it after a miraculous comeback, and then they won the coin flip, which was truly, I thought, my only actual hope, because I knew if the Falcons won the coin flip, they would obviously receive, and then there's no incentive for the Patriots to come down and score a touchdown. Then it's just like, as soon as they get in field goal range, they kick a field goal, game over, or the Falcons happen to score, which was never going to happen. So I was, basically, the coin flip was my life, and the coin flip came up Patriots, they got the ball, and I was like, well, still, a lot of times the Falcons are going to stop them here, or at least like force a field goal, which I always win. So I'm still probably a good like 60-70% to like, oh, even more, probably 80% to win.
Falcons won the coin flip.
No, the Patriots end up winning, but they can still score a field goal, and
Right.
I'm free rolling. Like I can't lose.
Right, because then yeah.
Which is going to happen a lot if you watch football.
Yeah.
So what happened was, obviously, Patriots win the field goal. They just drive right down, and I think it was James White got it across the goal line, and it was sad.
And now Justin's kids can't go to college. But he doesn't have any, so it's okay.
But to be fair, that was my biggest sports bet ever to this day. And honestly, I don't know if I can imagine betting more on that than that. So, like, one of those, like, if I had won, I think there's a pretty good chance I would have bet more on a game at some point in my life. But that was definitely a low in sports betting for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think a lot of people probably have that as their low, but I don't know. Actually, you know what? I bet a lot of people don't, because like you said, your bookie friend had so much action on the Patriots he couldn't stand it. Like that was definitely the public side. I feel like the sharp side was Atlanta.
Yeah.
I actually had a Patriots futures bet that year, so I just didn't bet the Super Bowl.
So, I don't want to hear that.
I know. Your biggest loss was my 8-1, 9-1 victory.
Your 48th biggest score. That's great. So happy for you.
I mean, I didn't bet that much. I had like 1,000 on it. I won like 8K. But
still.
Anyway, cheers.
Yes. Cheers.
To
All
pain.
right. More misery, I suppose. I know golf isn't your forte, but I will tell one more quick story.
Do it, yeah. Give me some golf.
And this is public knowledge. Maybe names haven't been mentioned, but like Ben Lamb has definitely been on some media outlets telling the same story. But my biggest golf loss came at the hands of Ben Lamb. And again, I've not even come close to touching the win of in golf. So again, like, my biggest golf loss
Yeah, I know this story, but
way
I like it.
oversees the other one.
I mean, I don't like it. I feel sorry for you.
it's
But let's relive the pain, shall we?
Might as well. This is what we're here for.
Are there tissues over here?
What do you need tissue for?
Because you might cry after you tell this story. All right, tell it.
Just real quick, guys. There was 8 of us. We showed up at Cascada, which is a fantastic golf course here in Vegas, closer to Boulder City. We decided to do a big scramble, so like we were all risking quite a bit of money per hole. It was Ben and a bunch of his friends, and I'm not going to mention my team because I don't want to drag them in to how much
They're not the main
it hurt
characters.
us. But either way, through the first 9 holes, we were destroying them, and I mean, like to the point where they weren't talking to each other, and we were just high-fiving after every shot. Couldn't lose a hole. We were up quite a bit of money, and at the turn, there's a little bit more of the same. But I believe at Cascada, I think it's hole 12 or 13. It's a short par 3 with water surrounding it and like beautiful mountains kind of like as a backdrop. And as we pull up to it, Ben Lamb just pulls me off to the side and says, "Look, do you want to do just a you and I hole-in-one bet?" I was like, "Sure." Like, I'm up a ton of money. Hole-in-ones are almost impossible to make. You got it. Actually, that's not true at all. In my head, I was just like, oh no, he's going to say a big number, and he's a better golfer than I. So I initially was like, no. And then he said, how about I lay you 6 to 5? And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's really nice, because like we're fairly close. But 6 to 5 is a very generous price. I was like, absolutely. And then like I drive away my golf cart, and he yells out the thing, and he goes, all right, my 60 to your 50. And I didn't have the heart to turn around and said, that's too much money. Who's going to do that much money?
It's never going to happen.
That's stupid. But I'll be confident because we're up money right now, and I'm going to give you some action back because that's what gamblers do. Like if you're up money, you give action back.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I thought 6 to 5 was more than a reasonable price. So we go up there. Our team doesn't do well. I think we end up scoring a bogey and a scramble, which is not good. We were never going to win. So we stick around to watch their first 3 shots, and I think their B player stuck one to like 4 feet. They were going to make birdie all day, every day. So we're like, let's not even sweat this. Like, it's fine. They won this hole. Let's go to the next hole. Let's refocus. And it's fine.
You didn't even sweat your hole. You've kind of, you didn't tell everyone you had a hole-in-one?
No, everyone knew, but like at the same point, we were...
You want to get going to the next hole.
It was like more of a team morale thing than anything. We didn't want to sit there and watch our demise or anything like that. Like, it's tough for anyone to get inside of 4 feet. Like,
yeah.
And it was already going to beat us. Who cares? Let's go tee off and get like pumped up again.
Okay.
So in my mind, it literally wasn't anything. We knew we were going to lose the hole, which was considerable, but like nothing compared to what we were up on at this time. And we get to the hole, and we all tee off, and they're just nowhere to be seen for probably like 10 to 15 minutes. No one showed up, and we were like, what is going on? Like, maybe they all missed the putt and they're all hating each other or fighting right now. I don't even know what's going on. And then about 15 minutes later, just these 2 carts full of guys, and then another cart holding Dom Perignon just rip up, and everyone's hooping and hollering and going on.
So they went back to get the Dom.
Oh yeah, they that's why they were late. It's because they wanted to buy us Dom Perignon to celebrate with them about Ben's hole-in-one, who was the last person to go. And I'm just like, I was numb, just absolutely numb. And they showed a video of the hole-in-one, and it was very sobering, and it was very hard for me and everyone in the group to be motivated after that.
Yeah.
Even after the little glass, the little flute of Dom Perignon that they bought us.
Little Dixie cup for your efforts. Here you go. Here's some Dom.
But yeah, it's tough as a group when because the group had a smaller hole-in-one bet against the other team as well, so we all lost in the thing. Myself more than anyone else, I believe.
Sounds like
Sean Winter might have had more. I'm not really sure. But either way, it was very, very sad. And long story short, after you face that kind of sadness, we all just crumbled, just paper dragons. It was just
Paper dragons.
I think that's what it's called.
I don't know. I've never heard it, but I like it.
It's paper lions, maybe, I don't know. But like when you like pretend to be all big and tough, and then like you get a little bit of adversity, and you're like.
Somebody just squishes you easily.
Yeah, that's it. So we not only did we lose that big bet on the hole-in-one and the hole, but I don't think we won another hole from there on out because I don't know if anyone talked to each other in our group after that. And no blame on anyone because I think I was probably more mad than anyone else. But it was a lot of anger going on. So yeah, that's the largest golf bet I ever made.
Damn, dude, I don't even want to go. I can't even.
Well, talk about poker. I'm sure you've lost way more of that in poker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just cumulatively in a session, yeah. I'm trying to think of. I feel like I would remember the biggest pot I ever lost, but you were telling your story, and I just kind of like was into it, and I started brain blanking on what my low was going to be. I have a lot of lows in my poker gambling career.
As everyone.
As everyone, I mean, I had one just this summer when things were not going well for me this summer, and I was playing some tournaments. I was playing some cash game. I was losing, and I signed up for, was it a 3K no limit? I think it was a 3K.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
A 3K no limit WSOP event. Things were going well. I was chugging right along. I made a big hero call. I was chugging right along. A little too much, as it turns out. But we won't blame it on the alcohol. I was doing really well. I made a big hero call against Espen Jorstad, the WSOP main event winner. He tried to check raise me, and I had ace high, and I called, and I turned bottom pair, and I called, and then I was so ready to call the river all in, like snap call it, and he gave up, and I checked, and then he gave me one of these faces after the showdown. He was not.
It's like, only Europeans are supposed to play that good.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he was thinking. But no, that was a big pot, and I had got up to a lot of chips. And we went down to 3 tables, I believe, in this tournament. Was it 3 tables?
Might have been, well, I don't know. I think it was 2 at first.
No, it was 3,
okay.
I think.
You know where you finished.
Well, I think I finished in the 20s.
Okay.
So
yeah.
We get down to 3 tables. I had worked. This is a WSOP event, so first place is like $750,000.
That's a lot of money.
I was like, man, if I win this tournament, even if I top 3 it, like, this will save my whole year, because I had been having a horrible year. Like, in terms of poker stories, like, I had my best year ever in 2021. 2022, it was a good year, but not a great year. I had a lot of adversity in the tail end of the year, and the early part of 2023 was not any better. So I really needed this score more than I care to admit it. Like, you know, first world problems to like, I need this $700,000 score to like feel good about myself. But it was just, things were happening in the poker world, in our lives, that were beyond just the cash game losses. But I was suffering a lot of losses, and I'm deep in this tournament, probably drinking a little too much on the breaks, but that never stopped me from winning a lot of money before, so I can't really blame it on that. But we get down to 3 tables. I get moved to a table with a player I haven't played with before. I get dealt the ace-3 suited.
Let me just say, guys, I literally show up right now.
It's true.
I just busted a tournament, and like I knew Art was deep, and I was like, I'll go sweat Art for a little bit. I know he's deep in a tournament. It's gonna be super fun. So I run over there, and I get right behind him, like 5 feet away from him.
Seriously,
Continue.
5 feet away. He's like on my 7 o'clock back here, yeah. just sweating. Can't see the cards obviously, but just sweating the tournament. So this hand comes up. A guy raises a 10-9 offsuit in middle position. He wins a pot with it, and I just kind of rib on him. I'm like, oh, 10-9 off, huh? Playing a hand with 10-9 off, just kind of joking on him. And he's like, he just kind of looks at me. He says, yeah, you know, I'll play anything. I don't know what he was. I can't even remember what he said. But the very next hand, the reason that's relevant is I'm in the small blind with the ace-3 suited. Folds to that same guy. He raises it up to, I think, 200,000. I think the blinds were 50, 100,000.
That's how deep they were in the tournament.
Yeah.
He raised to 200,000, which is probably a min raise. But
yeah, he min raised it up to 200,000. I got the ace-3 suited. I'm like, well, this guy just played 10-9 off. It doesn't matter that I just said something. He's definitely going to still play the same range of hands. I don't know. So I re-raise him to 700,000 chips. He calls. The flop comes 9-9-4, I think.
That sounds right.
He says, that's a good flop for 10-9 off. I kind of dismiss it and I bet small, like 500 or 400. I don't remember. He calls. Turn is a 3. I hit my pair.
I think so.
Yeah,
You
that
didn't
sounds
rip it,
right.
Did you? Yeah, I think you.
I think I turned the 3.
you
I
turned
don't
the
know.
3.
You can check the old
I'm pretty sure
WSOP
you hit a 3.
report. It definitely made the headlines of the of the thing.
I think you went check.
It went check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I check. Yeah, because I checked the turn.
Because you made a pair.
I made a pair. He checked behind. The river's like a 5, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a middling card.
It shouldn't complete anything.
Don't think it completed any straights. It might have been a 2, honestly.
That's fair.
I bet kind of on the small side, I think, again. Like
I think you bet like 800, 900 or something.
Yeah, I bet like between a third and half pot, but like probably closer to a third. Yeah. And he didn't take too long. He went all in, and I basically snap called him. I was like, the reason I bet small is like I think he has like king queen or like a better ace. He never has a better ace because he would have just checked back. Anyways, I thought he had big cards because I bet so small on the flop and he checked back the turn. I don't know what I was thinking. I just had this stone cold thought in my mind that I had the best hand. And when I bet the river, he shoved for like 3 million. It was a chip lead pot.
It was. Yes.
It was a chip lead pot.
Equity wise, probably around 200K. Be my guess.
That sounds right. I never thought of it like that, but basically I lost a lot of money this hand. I snap called him. He turns over pocket 9s for flopped quads. And I was like, oh, I should have maybe put that together with the speech call and the check and the...
And I immediately went from the rail right to my car. I don't even think I stuck around to commiserate with Art at all. Because like, no one wants a friend at that point.
Yeah, as fast as I busted out of the tournament, Justin turned into like a puff of smoke on the rail. I like look back and all I see is like a little bit of smoke going up into the air.
Just an empty beer can and some dandruff in my beard.
Yeah, it was. That was probably my biggest blunder in it. I mean, I was playing kind of crazy in the tournament anyway, so whatever. But I don't know. I played a lot of tournaments in my time because I used to play a lot of online tournaments, and you never want to be in that spot calling for your tournament life on the river. You want to be like the aggressive guy putting people to the test, and you at least got a 30% chance to win. I'm like, I know people are smart these days and like, oh, you're calling the river. You do have a percentage chance to win, but like nobody's bluffing there. Ever. They're going to raise you on that river all in. A guy I've never heard of. Maybe Alex Foxen would bluff there. Maybe,
yeah, exactly. Someone that doesn't care about the moment.
Maybe Chino Ream would bluff there.
That's a good point.
But
yeah, it's not
no one I've never heard of. And by the way, this guy didn't make the final table. This guy.
Well, that is not his fault. You tried your best to help him.
I did. I do what I can for the people. But maybe made the final table. I don't know. He didn't finish in the top 3. Some guy, some 60-year-old guy beat everyone. And anyways, I don't know if that's my deepest, darkest poker story, but it's a culmination of things where just like everything's going wrong for freaking 12 months.
11 months?
Yeah, almost a year. And you just like have a chance to get out. Should probably have a stack to make the final table. And you're just like, you know what? Let's keep it going.
Fuck it.
Let's keep this downswing going. I mean, like seriously, guys, this is like a $700,000 downswing over the course of 11 months, just like straight down, and that's not nothing to me. I mean, the games we play, it's like a $10,000-$15,000 buy-in type of game, like. It'd be hard to lose 700,000 straight.
Well, unless you're not trying, but yeah.
Unless you're trying to lose. And this spot came up for me to get out, and it was just like very sobering in the moment. And I mean, ultimately, you go back and you say, okay, maybe this is a pivoting point where it helped me like get better at playing poker and trying to win. But
sobered you up a little bit, but
yeah, so far not yet. But I think soon it's going to have that impact.
So something I will say about life-changing events affecting poker specifically, like you can probably like quantify it with like gambling and other things in your life as well. But in poker specifically, where you're actively like inside your own head, I have found every time I've had a big life event in my short poker career life, I've always gone on a downswing for 6 months. And like some serious stuff like my dad passing, but like even when like I got married to my wife, like, you know, when we moved to Vegas, that kind of culminated in the Dan Bilzerian story, because like we moved there and like within, I don't know, 9 months, it was like my bankroll was just poof, gone.
Yeah.
Like sometimes your brain's not making the correct decisions, and then you start questioning your brain's decisions, and then that gives you less confidence, and it's just like you're just climbing down the ladder of like confidence for poker, and which you need a lot of, I think.
You do. You need confidence to do well in poker, at least live poker. Maybe online poker is a little different.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But live poker, you got to face 8 people. The people that you face are giving you the Instagram version of themselves. You know, they're all happy and like crushing their lives. I mean, until they're not, and they show their true colors at the table. but you have to kind of put on a brave face at the poker table. You have to put on your social norms, and then yeah, it's hard to perform at a high level in live poker when your life is changing dramatically behind the scenes. And yeah, to your point, same thing happened to me when I had my first daughter. I went on, I think it was like a 6-month downswing. So you might have something there. We put out a book, The 6-Month Downswing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's expected, but like your mind's always somewhere else. So like these like what seem like very minute decisions turn into like huge like mountains to move, and it is tough. And like the same dramatic experience that Art had, I had at the same time, and I won't put a number on mine, but I'll just say it's similar. And it's the same kind of thing. If you're not mentally showing up, then it's really hard to do well. And not that we do a whole lot of thinking to start with, so it's a lot tougher if you're second guessing yourself or questioning yourself, or if you go home angry. Because like, believe me, if you're break even or if you're up a little bit, it's okay to lose a few sessions in a row, 3-4 sessions in a row. You go home, you can justify anything you want to. But if you're already on downswing and you have a few bad sessions, it's just a self-hatred, self-love. I mean, for me specifically, like it's a lot of internal hatred, and which is a mental issue problem probably, but like it is a real thing, and it takes a lot of steps to kind of dig yourself out of that feeling of every decision I make is wrong. I can't change this.
Yeah, you got to have an even keel to play, to be a gambler, period, for a living. And even just, recreational, it helps to have an even keel. We had this when we're down and not quite out, but we're losing, it's bad. But on the same kind of wavelength, after your biggest upswing, it's the same thing. I mean, it's ridiculous how there's a reason that like Stephen Chidwick is I don't know if he's the biggest winner of all time, but he doesn't show any emotions, because when he's playing poker, he is only playing poker. He doesn't have a family. I mean, I don't know if this is true,
a family,
but in his mind,
when
he's playing poker, in my mind, he doesn't have a family. He doesn't have any thought except for poker. And I can't really do that. Some of the elite people can do it, I think.
No.
I mean, well, at least in the moment, I feel like they are really good at like quarantining off portions of their brain. The elite people in any sport, in anything,
that's true,
are really good at like, the mental toughness is really just like making a bubble around your life. And when you're doing your thing that you want to be elite at, you just do that thing and that's it. But it's very hard. I don't think anybody can do it except for the top 1% of 1% of the people.
That's true. Like they call it staying in the moment or being present.
Okay.
I say that because like my buddy Shannon Shore just got second in a high roller, and he gave an interview afterwards about if he was disappointed about not getting first place, and he said, honestly, like I'm not that disappointed. I'm sure I will be later, but right now, like I've been working really hard about staying in the present and just focusing on each individual hand, each individual bet, and like it's a lot easier to do that when that's your goal. But it's incredibly hard to do. Like Eric Baldwin was the first person that even brought that up to me probably a decade ago, and he's amazing at it as well.
Was Eric was he was an elite like baseball player, right? Like he was good in
He was division, I believe it was, I want to say Division III, but they won like the national championship for Division III. But so like he was,
but like in his youth, he was
Oh, yeah,
he had
yeah.
that
Yeah,
already.
exactly.
Even though you're a kid, you don't give a shit about anything except for girls and sports. But it's a little easier to quarantine off. But what about Shannon? Did he have a sports background too?
He played baseball as well. Same kind of thing. Like I mean, he did struggle with it in his earlier years, self-admittedly. But same kind of thing. Like you just people like Chidwick or Foxen, like they work really hard at this stuff, and I think even them, like they saw that as something to aspire to. So they actually, it's something you have to work hard at. It's not like you can just sit down like, today I'm just gonna stay in the moment and it's gonna be easy. It's not. Like it's something that takes years to even practice, let alone accomplish. Yeah. I did try for a few months, and like, to be honest, it's not for me. Like it's probably the weakest part of my game. It's not staying present. But at the same point, I also do things more off the cuff, more by soul reads and stuff like not like reading someone's soul, but like a individual read.
Just instincts.
Yeah, SOLE, not SOUL. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like it's a double-edged sword for me. Like every time I try to do it, I feel like I'm having less fun, and it becomes more mechanical, and that's not me. But at the same point, I admire and am jealous of the people that can.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Should we bounce off the rock bottom here?
Want to talk about happiness now?
Get to our
thank goodness.
Get to our where our shit still works out, even though we're not that good at poker and we make a bunch of money. Should we talk about that?
Wait, where's the money coming in?
In the past.
Oh, in the past. Oh,
in
yeah.
the
I
past,
used to make
the money comes in.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. You go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, initially, obviously, your first two tournaments that you won off the bat. Like how like you can't beat that. Like in my mind, you go from whatever your bankroll was to whatever you made it, like percentage points above, or like like they can't be beat in my mind.
Yeah, I did have a stretch when I was when I first moved to Vegas, when it was like 2000.
Let's call it
7.
8. Okay, 7.
May of 08. Yeah, no, I moved here in 08, where I could do no wrong in tournaments. I didn't play very much volume. I just, the first tournament I ever played, live tournament, was the one with Jason Mercier. I think we talked about that, where I got 20-something, and he won, and we had a little swapski for 2%, and that basically doubled. I cashed for 20, he gave me 20 when he won 1 point whatever million. I can't do that math. Anyways, the first time we moved to Vegas, I played the Win Series tournament, and I was online. I was like an online poker tournament player at that time. That's kind of what I branded myself as in my mind. I would play some live cash games, small stakes, 5-10 no limit, stuff like that, and I signed up for this $1,500 Win tournament. Could do no wrong in the tournament, and to your point about confidence, like it was at an all-time high. I think Jeff Madsen was at that tournament, and so there's something to be said about being new in town. I didn't know anyone, just my wife was at home, so I would go on tournament break for 15 minutes. I would walk by myself. I would call my wife on the phone and just be like, not on day one, but like on day 2, when it was serious, I'll just call her on the phone. We'll talk for 10 minutes, and I'll be like, all right, we got to go back, and then have like 1 or 2 minutes to like self-reflect and re-engage into like poker mode, and then go back in and play. And honestly, my performance level was at the highest when I didn't know any of the people I was playing against personally, and I was just like in the moment. So I mean, maybe it's just a function of running really good in the tournament, but it's probably a little bit of everything, right? It just all kind of stacks on itself and works out. So that particular tournament, I get to the final table. I honestly don't remember any of the hands until heads up. heads up play, and it was me, a cocky 21-year-old, just moved to Vegas.
Was that you or the opponent?
Me.
Oh, okay.
They were a 40-year-old business owner, and he was like, "Do you want to chop?" And I was like, "No, obviously I'm going to win." And it was like 80 for first, 50 for second. It was a big difference. It might have been 40 for second, and I was just like, "No, obviously I'm going to win." Like one of the early hands, he has me down 2-1 in chips or something, and I get in sevens against his jacks. I hit his 7. And then now they stacks flip, right? I'm 2-1 now against him, and I just, the only thing I had going for me was aggression. Like he just folded his way down, and then the next flip I won, and that was the tournament. Like I was never thought about a deal ever. My confidence all-time high, and then it came true. I get a cute little win trophy that I got inside somewhere collecting dust, and yeah, $84,000 in win chips and cold hard cash afterwards. Yeah, and in that time period, I won that tournament. I won the next one that I played, which was the Caesars one that we both final tabled.
Yep.
We talked
where we met.
Yeah, well, we had known each other a little bit because
that's true. That's right. We played in the cash game.
We had played a little in the cash game, which is why when I offered to swap with him, he was like, "All right, you got me out chipped. You're an idiot, giving me 2% when you got more chips than me. I'll take it." And then I won that tournament for 80-something thousand. And then during that same time period, I was also a very active online poker player, and I won the $215 Scoop Cubed, the one rebuy, one add-on tournament, and that score was like $200,000.
Holy shit! I never knew that.
Yeah, it was.
I probably did at one point, but
yeah, I think. And I was just on this like massive heater, and I had the only community that I ever talked to was an online community, liquidpoker.net, if anyone's familiar, and yeah, no, I would post I had a little blog on there. I still do actually. If you go to, I don't post on there. I actually posted this podcast on there like as a link recently, but it's a dead community. It's liquidpoker.net.
Yeah.
You'll see it. Yeah, no, and I was just like on this massive upswing, and nothing's ever been better than that. Like in terms of where I just know what I'm doing. I think tournament poker, when you're succeeding, there's just nothing that beats it. You just feel good all the time. You can kind of feel, everyone feels your aura. They like think that you're hot shit, or at least that's how you project onto them. And yeah, nothing beats that kind of feeling. Like I also have like my biggest cash game pot that I ever played. I won against Eric Person in it.
Casino Eric.
Yeah, and it was a great feeling too. It was like I guess I'll tell the hand. It was I raised pre-flop. I think he re-raised me. We're playing 100, 200, 400. Or maybe we're just playing 200, 400. I don't know.
That's so much.
I know, it's big stakes. And I had run up my stack to, I think 150,000. So I had a big stack in front of me, and I raised pre-flop to 1,000. I think he made it 3,500 or 4,000. I called. I had pocket tens. Flop comes King, Queen, 10. I check. He bets.
Make up a number.
He bets. Well, it's Eric, so he probably bet pretty big. He probably bet 4,000. I made it 15,000. He calls. No, he comes back over the top. He comes back over the top and makes it.
I like this play from Eric, by the way.
Yeah, he makes it. So if I made it 15,
puts all your value in fucking jail.
He made it small. He made it
He
made it like 30,000, and I called. And then the turn was a queen, and I checked, and he just went all in, and I snap called.
Yeah, you have to.
I have a boat, and he happened to have ace jack instead of pocket kings, which is nice. and yeah, I won a massive pot, like a $300,000 pot, and it felt great. But there's something about playing cash games where it feels like you deserve it. You know, you're like, I came here to win, you know, and I did win. Good job, me. In a tournament, you come there to lose. And
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
and
That's
when you win, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
But when you get down to like 20 people, then you came there to win. So at that point, it becomes depressing. But yeah, in the cash games, it doesn't feel nearly as good, no matter how big the pot is, to winning a tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely not close. They should almost put like a little meme, like when you buy in for a tournament, and just like a picture of your money and like just a lighter and just like, psh,
Yeah.
I mean, it's being gone. Because I honestly think that's the proper way to look at tournaments.
I think if you just buy in and then they slap you across the face, that would send the same
Do you want
message.
to go home now, or do you want me to do it again?
Do you want to give me 1,000?
Do you want to rebuy?
You want me to kick you in the nuts now, or do you want to wait 3 days?
But to Art's point, though, like after you get past the initial slappings, like yeah, you make top 5, top 3, final table, like wherever your threshold is. There's no better feeling in the world than like running hot in tournaments. It's not close because like cash games, you have a hot week, month, year, whatever. Yeah, the money's nice, and that's not trying to downplay that. But yeah, you could win 1/10 of that in a tournament, and your elation is 10x, probably even more.
Yeah, I mean, it's
me.
like you're a warrior who killed
Exactly.
99.9% of
Yep,
people
that's
instead
right.
of just like 2 people.
Yeah. When you grow up competitive, like I imagine most poker players did grow up competitive. Like it's like that is the creme a la creme of that, which is why I like people like specifically. I keep referring to like some of my good friends like Shannon Shore and Eric Baldwin, but like this part of the reason they don't really delve too much into cash. It's not because they can't win at cash. They're very talented. It's because they get the highs, the dopamines.
It's not the same kind of win either.
Yeah, exactly. It's the battle is what they're concerned about. And if your bankroll is good enough and you can sustain losing 20 tournaments in a row, 40 tournaments in a row, which definitely happens, then like that's kind of where you want to be. I mean, if you can get there mentally anyway.
Yeah, it's difficult. The long run is sometimes it never shows up for you, but like I don't know. In live tournaments, some of these guys have it figured out for sure.
Yeah, that is true. And like I think someone told me the other day that like in order to realize your ROI, which is return on investment for tournaments, it's something stupid like 10 million tournaments or something.
Yeah, that's never.
So that sounded like a made-up number, granted, but like I think the person was smarter than me that told me that, so I'm going to acknowledge it at least. But yeah, like I mean, there's no way, especially I mean, online there was a chance you could like reach that number, but like in live,
Right.
there's
Only
zero chance.
like Sean Deeb has ever reached that number, and I doubt he's played that many tournaments. But that guy sounds like a pessimist, and you know what I like to say?
Yeah.
Pessimists get to be right, and optimists get to be rich.
No.
So you,
There you
if you're optimistic, and someone has to win the poker tournament, And speaking of, what are your highs in poker, buddy? Let's get to those.
I mean, to anyone that's watched our previous podcast, the story of basically my year from when like Bilzerian basically busted me to my high where I chopped a tournament. There's nothing that beats that. Like anyone that has any interest, I believe that is episode 1 that we talk about that.
Yes.
So go back and watch that. It is like truly like the best year I've had in poker in my life by far. But in addition, as far as cash game pot, I will tell. So over the last, let's call it a year and a half or whatever, I've been on a pretty big downswing. Definitely the largest in my career, but I'm also fortunate enough to be in a spot where I can have my biggest loss, over the course of a year as well. So I'm not trying to boo-hoo it too much. But in the middle of it, to save it from being potentially career-ending, I was fortunate enough to be on Poker Go for a week. This past, about a year ago today, actually. Okay. Oh wow! Oh, memories. But either way, I got a very nice game where I immediately got stuck. I think it was like $80,000. I think Nori busted me.
This does sound like a good story.
Yeah. And I bought back in, and I had one more bullet left, which was nice. And I had sold some pieces to some friends of mine, which was even nicer to have people that believe in me. But either way, I kind of built myself back up to like being upper 20 or 30,000, which is a huge win for me. And like I'm just looking around the table, and the table's kind of a little malaise, I'll say, a lot of like passive action. and drunk Justin took over, and it was just like, it doesn't matter. Let's just go for like a lot more pots than we normally do. Who cares if we're going to win 20 or lose 20 at this point? Let's just fire. And I started doing it. It started working out. And then I got in a pot against a gentleman who I do like. I'm going to leave his name out again just because I don't want to. He did nothing wrong in this hand at all. But either way, there was a spot where I believe I opened under the gun with the old, I could be wrong here. I want to say the 7-4 of hearts. That seems right.
Okay.
And
Justin would know.
Yeah, like something I like to do anyway, just because I don't like folding. But like I did it under the gun. I think I got like 4 or 5 callers, and we're playing a big game, so like I probably raised to 1,000 or 1,500 or something like that. And it comes like Jack 3, Jack 5, let's call it. 1 heart, rainbow board, and I decided to check. And this gentleman bet fairly large, came back to me, and I check raised him because I thought he's just going to fold everything. That's literally the reason. My mindset was like, I'm going to go for it. He ended up calling, so it was like, oh shit, I'm probably going to give up now. And the turn was like a 6 or an 8. It basically gave me a gutter and a flush draw, so 6, 8 or hearts, like whatever it was. So like,
okay,
like literally the best card in the deck for me. And then drunk Justin took back the wheel, and it was just like,
it's like we have a chance.
we are definitely not giving up now.
So you're saying there's a chance.
And I bet something big. I don't know, probably bet like 25,000 or something like that. And he snap called. I'm like, oh shit, okay, never mind. I'm scared again. Like, I thought for sure you'd fold that one. Like, I'm sure you have 8s or 9s or I don't know, shit, okay. And like the whole time, I'm like, okay, he definitely has a jack here. This is fine. And the river was like a queen of hearts or something like that. So I make my flush. And
wow.
I'm very happy.
Flush,
yeah. Backdoor flush. There's probably, I don't know, 100, 110K in the pot right now. And I think I have like 150K in front of me. And I'm just like so happy that I freak out and I check. Because why not?
Classic Justin.
Classic Justin.
Scary looking card.
Anyone that like wants to play against me, all you have to know is if I check, I probably got you. And if I bet, you should probably call me.
You're going to have to completely change your game now after all these
now
years.
everyone knows. So I check, and I'm just like, and like he was tanking for not long, maybe like 20, 30 seconds. But in that 20, 30 seconds, I'm like, Justin, build up some fucking confidence and just call no matter what he does. Because it's going to be okay. This is why we played the hand this way.
Right.
Just close your eyes and just say call. And he said the words all in, which was for my whole stack, which was 150K. So he like bet a time and a half.
Oh my God, yeah. Pot's 110. I mean, you can't fold.
Yeah, and I to my credit, I did snap call without really realizing what money meant at the time. Yeah. And he had a really good hand actually. Like he kind of merged his hand. He had ace jack with the ace of hearts. So not only did they have trips, which is going to be good, he also had the ace of hearts to basically maybe make me fold. Or actually, no, it's just value, is it? I don't even know what the plan was.
I don't know. He probably just didn't want to get raised.
Yeah, that's probably right.
People bet more than the pot. Usually they don't want to get raised.
But anyway, like it's probably for value, be my guess. But like,
yeah, I mean, you have to call it with the jack, so you just.
And like I beat him in the pot, and as soon as I beat him in the pot, he says, "Ah, shit." And that was the biggest pot I've ever won until like 3 hands later, where I kind of tied it.
So this one was like 400K.
Yeah, about 400K.
And then you play 3 hands later, another pot?
So yeah, like literally 3 hands later, it might have been the next hand for all I know.
Okay. You're still counting the chips from the last
I'm
hand?
not joking. Like it's just a mess in front of me, and like just ear to ear, like couldn't. And
couldn't not smile if somebody told you your mom just died.
So the same guy buys back in for 200. Like I said, huge game. And like I said, whenever it happened, an orbit later, 3 hands later, I think someone opens, a bunch of people call. I call. I have 2 4s, pocket set, and he squeezed huge.
For those that don't know, Justin likes to call pocket 4s, pocket set. Why do you call it that?
Like when I was younger, like I felt like 4s made the most sets. So even my ultimate bet screen name was Pocket Set 444. Anyone that wants to look that up, I wouldn't waste your time. But yeah, I honestly thought 4s just made the most sets possible.
Very rational people over here. All right, so you got the pocket 4s.
And whatever, a bunch of arrays, a bunch of callers I call 4s, and the same guy like squeezed huge. I think there was one other caller, and I called, and it just comes something just perfect, whatever. Let's call it like Jack 4 deuce or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just like, check, check, and the guy like blasts off for like half or 2/3 pot. Granted, this is the same guy just beat out of the pot, so he's not very happy.
Sure, steaming up.
There might have been 2 hearts or something on the board, and I just, after he bet big, I just went all in, put him all in for 200K.
You did?
And he snap called with
Wow.
2 aces.
Wow, that's tough to do. I mean, you like make it look like a draw,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he's like fucking never folding anything.
This part of live poker, you know, you just like, you look at your opponent, you're like steamed, and I'm pretty sure he has something. Like, if I didn't think he had anything, obviously just calling is the right thing, but I honestly thought he had a huge hand, and he beat me in the pot, and I showed him, and he was not happy again.
Yeah, he probably felt like he was doing the same thing to you. He's like, I'm betting huge with a big hand, and now
exactly.
I'm betting fake steamy on the flop, like I got something, and you're just like, buddy, I got something.
Like,
you want to see something?
I got it.
I got it.
And we ran it twice, and I held both times, and in the course of, it couldn't have been more than, I mean, probably counting on the chips took a while, but like in the course of half an hour, like I won $450,000, and
wow.
that's just a pebble in the creek of what I lost that year. But like still, it was
Pebble in the creek.
But it was it definitely kind of snapped me out of like the funk that I was in leading up to it. But to your point, on the backside of it, then all of a sudden my head went from I suck at poker, and then that night happened. I'm like, oh, I might be the best at poker. And then when you think you're the best at poker, that's when like the other side of you takes over, where you're like, I deserve pots instead of you needing to earn pots.
Yeah, and also you're just like, you kind of stretch it. Like even there was a time when I was betting a lot of sports, and I thought I was so good at betting sports that I was even willing to take on money like from other people and bet for them. And I was,
Oh, I remember that.
yeah, and that actually went okay. I won the first year that I did that, and then the following year, what happens to you? And this is true, I think, in everything, but gambling specifically. What happens to you is you learn everything. You learn all the tricks of gambling. Like, I'll give you an example. You're a professional blackjack player. You know how to count cards. You know when you have an edge to bet more when the count is +3 or something, right? So then the count is +2, and you say, this is close enough, and you bet. And that happens
A lot.
a lot. And it happens, there's advantage slot players who the discipline is the key thing. Because if you're an advantage slot player, you'll see a spot and you're like, okay, I know if the screen, I mean, for those that don't know, advantage slot playing is a real thing.
It is.
There's people, you can follow them around the casino.
Alan Kessler, one of them.
Alan Kessler's one of them, but you can follow them around the casino and you'll know them because the way they look at slot machines is just different. They're like walk in with a purpose. They look over here. They cycle through the bets. They're like, they check all the screens. Like you can bet different denominations. You can bet $1 a spin, $2 a spin, etc. And they cycle through them all. And if the game state is in a certain state, whatever, then you're making money. But the people who aren't disciplined, they see the game state and they're like, oh, they're just gamblers.
Yeah, it's
they're
like, oh, it's a coin flip right here.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
I'll flip a coin.
Yeah, I'll flip a coin here, and you just kind of, that line keeps sliding. The more kind of a gambler you are, and I think me and both Justin, and probably a lot of you listening to this are just like us. So you see something, you know something, you just like say, okay, well this is not that bad. You know, this is okay. It's not great. And I would do that with sports betting. I would have a spot where I would say, okay, this game, I think it's making money at this whatever. I bet the over on a football game or something like that. But previously, I would tell myself, listen, overs are only 50-50 propositions because everybody bets the over that's a gambler.
That's right. So
you should only bet unders and just forget about the overs. There's a lot of games you don't have to bet the overs. You can just bet the unders. But that week, maybe I don't have a bet. So I'll just force something. And that happens. It happens in poker. It happens in sports. It happens in slots. It happens in anything gambling. It happens in trading stocks.
Yeah.
It happens I mean, really anything where money's involved and you're like, you have a deal and you're like, you get kind of attached to the deal versus attached to the value
process, yeah.
and element of it. So in sports, I've done it where I've just like forced bets and made them go in and just like they lose, you know? I mean, long term, there was a time where I was a big winner in NFL and sports, and then now I'm like a break-even player. Like I accept that, you know. I don't bet as often as I used to. I'll be happy to bet one game a week. I'll be happy to bet no games. Not happy, but I will do it. I'll bet a small amount actually. That doesn't mean that much to me. But I don't know. There's something about gambling where you have to. I know everybody knows you have to bet within your means, but like
When the fun stops.
If you're a professional gambler, then I don't know what happens that makes you think that this is okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to your whatever. It's kind of been the theme of our entire podcast. Is the best thing about gambling is gambling and winning. The second best thing about gambling is gambling and losing.
Dude, it's gambling. Life. The best thing about life is gambling and winning.
That is true.
The second best thing about life is gambling and losing.
It's true because like it's the mentality of wanting to be in action. It's whatever. Last weekend I did well in football. The next weekend, and I bet like 5 games, and the next weekend I only see like one of my plays looking good.
Yeah.
No chance I'm just betting one of my games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to force something. I'm going to find something that looks like a coin flip.
Unless it's a morning game, and then if it loses, then there's no chance. There's only betting one game.
So when we first moved to Vegas, and I'm sure you've probably seen something similar. UNLV basketball was usually the last game of the night because it's on the West Coast. Usually went off at like 7:30 our time, which is 10:30 East Coast time. But the games were fantastic, not because UNLV was good or bad or the opponents were good or bad. It's because every single gambler in Vegas would go buy these $20 tickets and put whatever their max was on the game. Basically, whatever they lost throughout the day, they would throw that on the game. So like people are just cheering for both sides, over-unders, turnovers, like missed shots.
It's just an exciting
buckets.
game.
Every free throw, like half the crowd goes fucking nuts. And like not because like they're all UNLV fans. It's because like everyone had a long day of sports betting. They're down whatever amount of money, and they're like, "What's left on the ticket?" Okay, Hawaii. UNLV. I am in Vegas right now. UNLV plays the Banana Slugs in 30 minutes. We're gonna go see that game. How much are tickets? Are you serious? They're $20. We're definitely going to this game, and we're going to bet whatever we're down on the game. And that's just what happens. And like for the first like probably 4 or 5 years we lived here, we went to a half dozen to like 10 games a year.
Yeah.
Just for the environment. Like I mean, granted, I also bet on the games too. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But the actual environment of the game was sick. It's like no one left early. It's not like, oh, this.
Yeah, the end matters.
UNLV was favored by 20, and like usually, like if they're up 22, like everyone's like trying to beat traffic out.
Yeah.
But the stadium would remain full because everyone's sweating
We gotta know
the spread, and like every free throw, like when they brought in like the scrubs off the bench or whatever, like. Half the stadium would go nuts. Like, what are you doing? They're pros in here. Let's go. Like, we need points. You can't just give up. And it was honestly like a very exciting time. Like, and have a few rum and cokes along the way, and But that was a very I think Vegas specific environment for sports, which is very much transferred over the last 15 years because now they actually encourage betting in game and like before the game and afterwards. Where like at that point, like sports betting was only in casinos. You couldn't do it on your phone.
Very taboo.
Yeah. So like you had to like bet it at whatever Bellagio or Aria or whatever, and then you'd run to the game and then like sweat it. Where now like it's a little bit different because like you can like get live action. And
I mean, it helps that like the games are sometimes pretty casino adjacent, right?
Yeah, that's true. And like Thomas and Mack it's right next to the airport, right next to every casino. It's a 10-minute drive. Like it's right there. But that was a very good introduction to Vegas life when I first moved here, actually.
That's funny. That's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of degenerates, if you've watched this podcast for a few episodes, you know that we put out this content, but it's not free. We work hard to, lose all our money so we can tell you about it. And And the best way to pay us back, it's not money. It's a like, it's a subscribe.
It's a button click.
It's just a button. Just make my pants vibrate. I get a buzz every time somebody subscribes, somebody makes a comment, somebody likes something, and we read all of them. We'll read all your comments, and what we really want actually is you to just follow us on whatever podcast platform you like, Spotify, YouTube. I'm sure there's other ones, Apple Podcasts. Just put us on your to-do list, and yeah, we really appreciate that. It really helps us out. So if you do that for us, we will do another one of these for you.
Yeah, and there's plenty more gambling stories to come. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
And in the next few weeks, we're going to have, I know Thanksgiving is coming up, maybe not for whoever's listening to this right now. But we're going to have a lot of really good guests in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So keep your ears open, push that little bell that tells you when a new video drops and a new podcast drops, and trust me, you're gonna like the content that we put out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're gonna have some really good guests, very diverse guests when it comes to Vegas gambling, poker, other forms of gambling. It's gonna be good.
It is. All right, that's the pod.
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard.